Good to see everybody. It's the griffin of the owl. I was doing it before the show. It's the griffin of the hour. Now, I wanted to ask because normally I like to move around, but that's not going to happen. I would like to take my mask off so I can speak clearly to you all, but especially for the folks in the front row, if you're not comfortable with that, this can stay on very easily. You're okay? You're okay? Okay. Well, I'm definitely 6 feet, also fully vaccinated. I got the cards to show it. There you go. Oh, you mean which one? Like, I got the J&J. Ironically, right before they had a shortage, followed by the questions, but everything's okay. That for about 2 weeks, I had people calling, "Are you okay?" Yes, I'm fine, thank you. Are you okay? Well, my ear's hurting a little. Could you tone it down? No, I'm dead.
Good one. Don't be dead. It's bad for your health.
I don't know. Could be like a karmic reset button. I don't know. All right. The acoustics in here are just a little curious. Can you all hear me through the speakers?
Yeah.
A little curious because I know AB is doing a great job.
Can you tap the mic a little bit? Just make sure.
I think it's just
Is this on?
Try the ones to the right of you.
Yeah, double check the switch is on.
Uh-huh. Switch to the right of me.
That might find anyone. You just swap it with the one to your left.
You do?
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we got a bum mic still.
Microphone to the left of me, thumbs to the right. Here I am, talking in the middle with you.
Lovely singing.
Yes, the next question. Can you play so low? Preferably so low we can't hear. Alrighty. That just did another minute. Impressed and surprised when I left. I think there were only like 5 people in this room. I come back. I go to use the restroom and suddenly, they multiply. Right, they sprout up like stalks. Mighty purple pastel stalks.
Evolution.
Mitosis. Wait, what about them? I'm wearing shoes. I'm sorry, just no talking to unscientific heathens like myself. Alrighty, so how's everyone doing? Let's go. Ikuse. Nani. Gaijin. Sword. See, now everyone's surpassed me in Japanese now. I definitely. This is not me dabbing. This is me shaming. One of them is intentionally shame-filled.
That's very good point.
Alrighty, so everyone, welcome to Live on Luna Eclipsed. We are talking season 2, episode 4. The very start. Honestly, this holds special significance to me because not only does it star my favorite princess, and really the introduction of and someone down the hall was like, "That's Celestia's good too." I've met Cadence fans, but it's hard to get the dialogue going.
I like quietly.
But this is also special significance to me because when I was first getting into the show, season 1 had already been out. I was able to watch it in blocks, like 3 episodes a night. I cleared through pretty fast. Luna, I was part of the rhythm of the fandom. I miss when you start a week out, you have the memory, the previously aired, and there's that teaser on the clip to whet your appetite. Then there's another clip on Friday. Oh, I can't wait. Saturday, the fandom works, the reviews, the reactions. Monday and Tuesday. Okay, we're getting a little low again. And then we get to have the preview. We don't have that anymore, not just because the show ended, but because suddenly episodes got leaked early, aired in other countries. scripts were out. We lost the rhythm, and I'm sorry to say we lost a good part of the fandom that way too. But hey, we have not lost. Exactly. Let's get things started as we start with a unique. Yes, Twilight is going to introduce this character that's not so great. Star Swirl the Bearded Jerk. That is my name. Change it. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. So it's disregardation.
I'm Star Swirl the Bearded. Father of the amniomorphic spell.
Amniomorphic. Amniomorphic. I know what this is. I do know what this thing is. The father of the amniomorphic spell. Wow, let's break this down. We're about to go etymological. All right, amnio. Also, it's Greek for lamb. Take your pick. Morphic, to shape, adjust. I know metamorphosis transform, but morphic is more to shape. Now, there's some would argue that instead of amnos, amnion from ancient Greek, which is a sacrificial bowl used to catch blood from a sacrificed lamb. That may be why those two words are linked. Or from the New Greek, it's the membrane around the finger. Refused to show a picture of that. Said no. No. So we have several. We have several conflicting on what an amnion represents. And I view it as kind of a Rorschach test for you as a fan. Because based on this, Star Swirl lamb should he wanted, yeah, maybe he was a Euro inventor. Maybe he had a secret craving for meat and herbivores. Tough time for him. Maybe it was a revolutionary spell that could save life. This is very early. Modern medicine isn't what it was. Or would, yes, there's the word. Or with the most pun approach, was shaking it.
Yes!
I'm thinking the bullshit one. But interpretation, like most of that might say a little something about how you want to approach this as a fan. Maybe you like just something a little magical. Oh, great. Oh, great. Tech, babble, conduits, reverse polarity. I can do it too.
Did you even read that book I gave you about obscure unicorn history? Star Swirl the Bearded is only the most important conjurer of the pre-classical era. He created more than 200 spells. Even a lot named after spells are kept in the Star Swirl the Bearded wing. The Star Swirl the Bearded telling you, Star Swirl the Bearded. What could be better?
Something even a great unicorn like Star Swirl the Bearded was not able to do, because he did not understand friendship like you do.
It wasn't difficult to change Star Swirl's spell. He'd already done the hard part. I mean, Star Swirl was a genie, but forget old Ponish. There's parts where his horn writing is like another language.
You know, dying is the best thing you can do for your career, but this is ridiculous.
He didn't even die.
Listen, yeah, I never thought he was dead. I mean, he did, give him flow of time. You'd think.
He was a great magician, but also he didn't know what friends were. He was a loser with
Well, truth be told, stuff personal underdevelopment usually leads to a much darkness for where you get your inspiration. Here's the start of this series. We have a shell named after him in the light. Then there's a wing after him. Then he's a time. Then he's actually a lost pillar who was elements of harmony and these pretty and oh my, just somewhere in the Canal Library, and it was written. What's Star Swirl? What's the hipster section? Very sad. You know, I think we've harped on it. This was the introduction of Star Swirl the Bearded. We didn't know it at the time. We didn't necessarily know it at the time, but they created something that would evolve and take on more meaning as the show progressed. The holiday. Who knew Lord Zed was a brony? Oh, the thing is, he really doesn't seem to like green or white ponies. They got.
Lyra.
Or Lyra, or Oliver. Trick or treat, and well, these three are not central to the story. They will be the most goals, except for one other. Now, knowing what we know now, what do you want to bet Twilight's looking at that pink on your right, looking at those dots, the ladybug, and going, ah!
Great costumes. Happy night there, no? Granny Smith? I should have been yours.
This is another hallmark of the early seasons when Granny broke down to just one joke. I'm old.
Yeah.
Oh, was that nostalgia? She always went with the, you know, I've got a bag. Oh, I should buy modern day. This is fun. I enjoy this joke, but being more of a firecracker in the serial role. It started to change in Sister of Social and become more in the cast. There's Squeak the Pirate, the adorable. We are symbol of innocence throughout this entire piece.
Yep.
Then he'll get into politics. You think student council president is just the start? No, he's gone down the dark path.
I'm too old for this. Too old for great candy.
She's got the right idea.
Okay, yeah, she has the right idea. Really going down this rabbit hole, Pinky. When even the children are terrified by your appearance, I think. See, you can be in costume, you can be yourself, but when you're pushing the kids out of the way to get the free candy, you gotta tone it down, Pinky. Tone it down. What do you want to bet when she became a mom? Let's say, Pinky, do you want another?
Lighten up, old timer. This is the best night of the year for free.
Oh, there's Rainbow Dash. Sure. She's pranking everyone, startling them with lightning bolts. Dressed up, ironically, in the costume of who tried to recruit.
Staples.
Okay, I can only imagine how that fitting went. Ow. Ow. Either way, it sounds very, very uncomfortable. Funny thing is, all this is going
Every year, we put on a disguise to save ourselves from her Yeah. Never been. So she won't return to call it yours.
Okay, that's one thing. This is the best. Can you imagine if we could have this sort of thing in history? You learn. But here's Sakura. It's really nice to see you're taking part, and this harkens to what will come in the Scare Master. Twilight points out maybe you're better off being the scarer than the Sakura. Once scared of her by their own limited. Now they've welcomed her into this ritual, and she's up. They're scared, but they're not scared for the same reasons, and thus she's actually a member of the community. I remember in the queue to relapse. Oh, doors are closed and shutters shut. Perhaps I should have stayed in my hut. Well, I'm sorry. But no, for this, she is scaring, but as part of the fun included. Also, the best effects. I really can't emphasize. Forget being on a terrible words as you. No, just have Sakura with a little flash of magic. That would have been better flashback material. I could never see it in the episode again. Or Pinky Sky, Sakura, attend me. And Sakura's like, oh, you do not summon me like that. But together. Because here's the thing. Obviously, we are watching the pony version of this develop. Why would Celestia allow a holiday that's in what we know about our world Halloween and what elements within the episode? So let's start with the universal talk Halloween. As near as we can tell, is traced back to a Celtic ritual Samhain, which celebrated the change in season. All right, thank you for the correction. Going funny enough by they had a building by the same name. They all said Samhain. So we. Well, this I think I might have an anthology on later on today. I appreciate. Well, I'm sorry. This is a good thing to discuss and learn more, but I have to keep going with the presentation. All right. So it is true that Christianity, as it was drawing people in, a lot of times it was easier to adopt the idea rather than combat it. Is much more difficult to remove. In fact, if anything, the more you try to repress something, the stronger you'll make it. Okay. Guys? Guys? I understand the thirst for knowledge. But basically, rather than try to suppress all mention of this holiday, adopt it into their culture. So it became part of All Saints' Day, a day to celebrate the saints. And from there, All Souls' Day, November 2nd, to celebrate the dead in general. So here's the first person. Celestia recognized he had spread far, so far that she couldn't really counter it. She could only work with it and ride the wave and try to mitigate the damage. Because even a princess can't dictate how others think. That's for you two. I sincerely hope I never actually. But it would have stayed local. Just this idea of, just in small towns. It was a long time until, remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason plot. I see no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. It makes me think I actually can make you think. Give Silver Quill $10. Give Silver Quill $10. Oh, I'm being doom flagged. But here's the this. Is that a proposition? So here's the. Actually, currently, like November 5th is a celebration day in England. They mock his failure. People would wear masks, and in a weird way, a lot of the traditions of Halloween moved into the more urban areas and became more popular as a result because of making fun of this. So now, okay, there's an idea Celestia can't counter, and it's making fun of Nightmare Moon in a way. It's mocking her. It's also very possible that that Nightmare Moon is not the original being feared at Nightmare Night. Is it possible that there was something else that Nightmare Moon kind of became synonymous with this threat that you wanted to pass over? The question? People read coming over Ponyville, so that it was a very limited site for a cloud. So they all everything read Ponyville.
Is this just a Moses story or what?
This is of archetypal studies, because yes, you see these same ideas flowing through cultures from ancient biblical and texts in the Torah to children's media. The idea is there, weaving through under the surface, and is trying to tell us something. Like, for God's sakes, if someone tells you to keep your head down, keep your head down. Okay, gunpowder treason, a villain, at least in the public eye, who needs to be mocked. But it gets people a little rowdy. It gets people a little over-energized. This leads us to America. From Devil's Night. Things got out of hand. Once upon a time, it was not simply going door to door to get candy. It was, hey, tonight's a little night to raise hell. People were dressing up in costumes. They had their identities obscured. And they go around and they do, sometimes it was really simple things like, ring the doorbell and run away. Who here saw the Rick Ponies panel last night? Want to talk about the dog dropping? They might have tried that.
Actually have the event going and oh, it's over.
Controlled destruction projects. But other places, like Detroit, especially in the 1970s, Devil's Night was actual destruction of the neighborhood, setting fires, putting potatoes on trail cars rails or trolley rails so that they would derail. We're talking putting genuine lives in danger. That's how bad it got. And that is why many cities introduced controlled destruction, stuff that we easily clean the damage, or get people together, have a church gathering, anything to give the kids an outlet for their energy without letting them roam free to cause unfocused destruction. And that's part of why our tradition is trick or treat, which is only about 100 years old. In this long history of Halloween, which I have only just brushed the surface, there are entire words that are unique to just the late 20th century. I realize how old I'm sounding right now. Yeah, this is one of the things older than me. Let me have this. So one of the odd things about history is that we always like to act like it's the distant past. Sometimes it's still only like 1 or 2 generations. And so trick or treat is bribery. One of the things that people quickly seized upon is that this lady, I think in Detroit, her kids homemade snacks, popcorn balls, candied apples, and she'd say, look, you can have this, but it's free. Oh. Halloween is the most hardcore day out there. It's the back alley deal. You want a little pre-Christmas cheer? Hey, I got some rioting right here. Right here, some good stuff. So this thing is terrifying. It is a protection racket. But when you say trick or treat, you are really saying it's a real nice house you got here. Be ashamed. Okay, now picture a little kid doing that. Be a real shame. So trick or treat, and then eventually companies got involved. This bribery, don't hurt my home, here's some treats. Companies got involved and said, hey, we can make some money off this. So that's when they started making candy. Eventually coming up with the contradictory fun size candies. Because what's fun size about less candy? I ask you all. But, so notice that we've seen all those Nightmare Night. We've seen a villain and a history that may require a little bit of mockery. We've seen that, yes, it inspires some Devil Knights antics or, well, if you're not careful, damage. And you see dressing up for treats with the threat of a trick. So now picture Apple Bloom. Y'all got a nice home here. And you'll recall, yes. Oh, I know, but it's cuter if Apple Bloom does it. Moving hastily on. Now I want to say this is an introduction. It's not. We never see these guys. But the idea of bat Pegasus ponies, really fast. This is like a certain cross-eyed gray mare who was only supposed to be in one scene as a joke and became a staple. These guys infiltrated the brony consciousness and became part of it. And we still don't know what's up, if that's like a spell Luna casts because she likes her guards a certain look.
I remember they had a they live up in the attic.
They live up in the attic. There's a bunch of horses hanging upside down in the rafters, sleeping off the day. They might have had a little bit too much the night before. And Twilight inherits the Canterlot rule and looks at us like, what are they doing? So, but then if we're talking about big changes. My, yeah. The return of Princess Luna in her new awesome gear, which is, well, bats. You have a cloak made of Have you had your shots? Actually, what I find funny about this, look at the shape of the cape, especially along the top. That's not matching Luna's tail, that's Celestia's tail. They adopted Celestia's tail animation for the cloak.
Boy, I sure hope someone got fired for that one.
I'm not a cloak maker, maybe, but I don't know. I find it kind of fitting. Your curves are barely enough to cover mine. But this is Luna back for the first time since the show premiered. And we never really find out why she is gone from this tiny little horse with a lighter coat to this darker, more regal figure with heavy emphasis on eyeshadow.
Maybe she's a Klingon.
But the comics tried, and they did a really good job of presenting an idea and a story. It was the Nightmare Rarity arc, early on in IDW's run, like what, issue 6? Well, sorry, I heard several voices at once.
You're like around 6 or 6 to 10. That was it.
6 to 10. Well, that's a good deal right there. But honestly, that story didn't quite do it for me, so I don't fully know why she got this growth spurt, but dang, she got a growth spurt. But things aren't going so great for her.
Very well then. Be that way. We won't even bother with the traditional royal
That total change, where first, yeah, we don't get, I didn't show you the Royal Canon voice, but I'm sure you've all heard it by now. And also, but then all of a sudden, be that way. Going from being to what sounds like a petulant teenager.
The rarity is shown.
But, well, as she's voiced by Sam St. Germain, but at the same time, I gotta say, this is a moment to ask why Luna is so popular within the fandom. Given going for a while, why did she as the favorite princess? And hey, I say that she is my favorite princess. So I wondered about this popularity. It's so easy at the start of this to wonder if she's just going to be prideful, arrogant, and demanding, like unpleasant character. Would have hurt her chances. But I noticed that even in the framing of the shots, they're trying to convey a sense of vulnerability. When Celestia walks on stage, everyone bows before her. From a low-angle shot, powerful, graceful, wings expanded wide, Luna is presented, everyone is cowering before her, but she herself is shown at a low angle. The audience are looking down on her. You see how small she is compared to everyone around her. Basically, for all her bluster, you get the sense that she is very much small in the crowd. In a way, all this loudness seems to convey she's trying to compensate for a feeling of isolation, inadequacy, and trying to live up to an ideal.
It is tradition to speak using the royal we, and to use this much volume when addressing our subjects.
I know, right? That's like the perfect slapstick reaction. But here's the thing. Luna is very quickly being shown that she's trying to roll and a title. And I've said before, titles do not, they set expectations. You're expected to live up to that, but no one quite knows how to tell you how to go. So Luna is laying in heavily on tradition, hoping, in a sense, to mimic Celestia. Whereas Celestia made the role her own. She's had 1,000 years to get things right and wrong, and to outlive any mistakes she made. Plus, they probably didn't have gossip journals back then. Very hard to understand what to do. And I especially appreciate that we see her, after she leaves the town in a huff, sitting in the shadow of her former self, her past mistake, and just, well, kind of pushing this away like even she's offering to this nightmare that's bigger than her. This concept that's taken root in Ponyville's mind far more than love for their Princess of the Night. And apparently she has her like White Sparkle who's invading her personal space. Look at that expression. Like, Pony, you getting all up in my... Well, this is... If you told me back then that I'd be talking through a mask with most people, and I'd need to, before I take this off, I would say, give Luna a chance, be a connector, get her in touch with what I consider to be the funniest part of.
Oh wait, you can't be here. It's just not welcome when they
Give Luna a run for her money. Now, here's the thing. As we're watching this, I want you to keep premise. Folks say that humor is subjective. Other folks try to undo the subjectivity of that. And one theory I really like is you have excess, two polar opposite ideas If you forge a connection together, boom, you get comedy. It's like matter and antimatter. So here we have lack. Fluttershy is usually a very timid, demure pony. Excess. That pony is shouting because she is overly terrified of what's going on. Boom, humor. Now compare that when you have an excess of volume against a lack.
We have to speak as loud speakers. Shall we mimic that voice? Okay, how is this? Perfect, present over.
Now, this puts me in an awkward spot where I'm suffering my own combination of lack and excess. The lack of respect for my favorite pony. Right. Lack of respect for my favorite pony, but also an excess of slapstick, which I enjoy. I don't know. Oh, I guess I do know how I feel. I would put that on a loop, and as much as I love Fluttershy, I would enjoy it. But honestly, looking at this scene and all the awkwardness, the eagerness versus lack of eagerness, also the abundance of Fluttershy meme faces. I mean, I'm kind of expecting to hear the heavy go, Fluttershy is dead!
Aren't you the heavy?
I was. But I've been working out, thanks. But then, well, Pinkie Pie happens.
Oh my. As she does.
Oh, thank you, dear Fluttershy. Our loyalty.
So, yeah, everything seems to be fine. Then Pinkie Pie happens. Fluttershy is, of course, why did I open the door? It's going to be like Twilight, you're off the knocking list.
We're used to our sparkle. They have never liked us, and they never shall.
Oh, now doesn't that speak to vulnerability right there? You see it. I'd argue that Luna's vulnerability, her isolation of the crowd, I think a lot of us here, me myself, can empathize with how that feels. Celestia is always in her element thanks to the long steady practice. Cadence, I have to say, I didn't get to see her in her step up very often. But Luna has had to earn respect and find her way through discomfort. And I think that's the secret of her popularity. That's why we all are attracted to this presentation. Now, tomorrow I'll be doing Applejack appreciation. So I go a little faster through this section because Applejack, while initially put off by Princess Luna, quick to welcome her because she recognizes, hey, somebody needs a little help, a little encouragement, and that is Applejack to a T. And so we get the fun. What is this fun? I'm a robot. Robot Luna does not understand concept of fun. Initiating catapult sequence. That's right. Put on a t-shirt, print it, make some moolah. So again, now Luna is getting accepted. She's interacting with me. Things are going great. And then Pinkie Pie happens.
Oh, damn it.
And but before Pinkie gets involved, I want to call two screenshots. This is at the start where Luna's like, instruct us in how to make this fun. Now look at her pose after she's had so much fun. You see how she starts actually looking at the sun. Until now, she's been trying to look down her nose and everything, or snout, muzzle, what have you. But now she's actually looking at them. Suddenly, she doesn't have to feel like she in order to be accepted. So, real progress. A lot of it owed to Applejack, my second favorite of the main six. But like I say, Pinkie happens, and things go wrong.
shall be cancelled forever!
It's funny that this town is demolished every week with how much they freak out.
Good. You don't get that called Luna sister. And you'll get it. But actually, it's that line. Since you choose to fear your princess rather than love her. You know what that's a reference to?
Machiavelli.
Exactly right. Niccolo Machiavelli, who was basically a writer for underhanded politics. He didn't invent them, he just wrote them down. Because this guy, he argued, well, he wrote in his book, The Prince, a prince feared in such a game that if he does not gain love, he does avoid hatred. For to be feared and very well together. And this he will always achieve if he does not touch the goods and the women of his prince. Now, this is geared with a very specific audience in mind. But notice that Luna has just the communities. She's just messed with their holiday. So in a sense, she may seem like she's putting a stop to it, isn't it? But a lot of there's also conversation around the concept of Machiavelli and what victories are never secure without some risk, especially for justice. Now, this Nightmare Night is pretty harsh on Luna. I mean, it's basically a holiday where everyone makes fun of you and your terrible, difficult past. But is it justice to take it away and all the enjoyment others are? What is the right thing to do? Last thing about Machiavelli and the death of his throat as the prince and other rights make him sound. He wrote to I'd like to teach them the public last year. Basically, he wrote down things are going to fall against you. So, in a weird way, Equestria is sort of the opposite of Machiavelli. The goal is to be feared. And Machiavelli might say, you're still taking away from the public for that. Sure, they might fear you, and after that flex, some folks are just dying to. But Elizabeth, 1 year a princess, another a zombie. It's only background pony, so there's not to study. But they are a diversity of range. A lot of wonder what costume says about your personality. What do you dream about? What are your secret desires? What are your secret goals? What does that say? What about the cosplays we choose about us? Maybe something we admire, maybe something we strive towards, maybe something in spirit we don't have. Who knows? So it's something to study, but I love seeing all the diverse range. We've got an Egyptian ruler, Mortal Kombat over in the corner there, a Viking, a space pony, which again, how do they know about that? Is it a space program?
Fisherman being eaten by a shark.
Yeah. Jaws. Oh, also, all space ponies must like bananas. Yeah, I know the classic band, the OG. But all right, we gotta fix this.
I'm going to do what I do best.
No, Twilight, Luna's been through enough. But all right, and we also get another layer of depth to Luna.
But you have to believe me when I tell you that Nightmare Night is one of the most popular celebrations we have. Yes, I can tell by all the adoring shrieks of the children as they run away.
As they run away. Yeah, look, I love the sarcasm, because sarcasm is often a note of a soul that has been tread upon too harshly. So poor Luna, she has really had her soul trampled. And then look, she's giving Twilight. You got 3 eye highlights. All right, 3. That's when you know it's on. So, but then Twilight figures, let's reconcile it. Pinky's been a problem. Oh, well, yes, there's the question. Do we blame Pinkie Pie? And she didn't get a slap, she got a flying tackle. Oh. Too far. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a minute. Pinkie is wanting everyone to have fun. She's about to enlighten Twilight. Here's the thing. How often did Pinkie stick around to actually see the consequence of her getting all the kids to run away screaming? Never. So, Pinkie's making the situation worse, but not out of what I would say malice. She's doing what the holiday calls for. Get them run around and shed some nervous energy. Better that than keeping stuff on fire. Roy will attest to that. In a way, she's doing her part, but she's also undermining Luna's goals because she doesn't know. So this episode was, I think, really hard for Pinkie Pie fans, as people would say, curse that Pinkie, she ruined everything so many times, this is all her fault. And if you get satisfaction from seeing her get tackled, I'm there with you. It's funny still. But at the same time, Pinkie is, I don't know if I can be mad at Pinkie for operating with a lack of information. One scene that starts to turn her around.
Do you promise not to shriek?
Hey, she's making an effort. She says, I won't shriek. She doesn't shriek, even to the point of claiming. So, one of the things about a Pinkie Pie episode where she makes things look bad, like especially Philly Vanilli, where Flutter Guy, and she's climbing up walls to make Fluttershy cry. Never had a chance to actually help. She never actually offer some information or help alleviate the distress. She does that here. After we get a very interesting out-of-context shot. I could start many Twitter chains about this. Like, what's the safe word? So, but Pinkie does offer some perspective.
So why do you keep running away at school times? It's just really fun to be scared. Genius. No, I'm not.
There's that little sarcasm, and there's another screenshot you can just throw online and wonder what the hoo-ha is happening with this show.
I also love that she laid an egg.
She laid an egg. What happened to that egg? There's going to be one hell. Yeah, she laid an egg when she fled as a chicken. It was purple with spots, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a very interesting omelet the next day.
It's Pinkie Pie, don't question it.
But basically, now we bring it all together. There are the Phillies from the start again. Twilight's still screaming internally at that ladybug. And I'm just going to go on just a quick tangent. Coulrophobia, fear of clowns, that Philly right there. I don't care what Spike says about the rainbow wig diminishing any fearsome. That Philly going to need therapy. And she just lost. And Mayor just lost her vote.
No one ever runs against Mayor. The worst part is she dyed her vein again to get that.
I am pleased with your offering, so pleased that I may just eat it instead of eating you.
So there's another fun screenshot. I do find it interesting that Kingdom Hearts Crusaders are a part of this group, but they weren't the focus. Compete Luna. But it's interesting to see what the Crusaders come up with. Luna spitting out fake teeth. Honestly, makes that dream and a royal problem a bit more symbolic. So it's where Luna's teeth are falling out and the kids are chanting at her. That's even scarier. Children of the Corn.
Fun, scary, but fun. We shall have to bring.
I think Pip was speaking for many a fan at that point.
I think, honestly, he was the first Princess Luna lover.
Phrasing that might change. I mean, especially with this shot. But yes, she is now accepted by the children.
Oh, yeah.
And the future generations. This great look. Oh, most wonderful! Oh, okay. Is this not? This is even more adorable than Pip's Queen.
Yeah.
So, and Luna is okay, the screenshot on this, the Lyra and whoever the Viking pony are, they're like, are you wing drops? Raindrops. Right now it looks like they're like, are you kidding me? I was gonna dunk my head in that a minute ago. Now it's like Princess Soup. I'll just say health and safety is gonna have a few words with Applejack.
Derpy was already in that tub before Luna was.
Well, you know, there's a special anti-derpy mix. It's called soccer balls. Anyway, there's still one bit of karma we haven't worked out
Karma's a beat.
So if I post this on Twitter with the phrase "caption this," what can y'all come up with? I'll give y'all some time to ponder it, but look for this. I will find out. Yes.
Will you turn off the mature filter on the plan?
Excellent. That's a good starting point. But I want to see that on the Twitters if you can. Excellent.
I think we're in Rainbow Crash.
But well, that'll actually lend you an extra beat. Anyway, I'm getting very mature here, aren't I? Funny that they call the humor mature when I am not. But here we are, the end, and it's one of my favorite episodes of the show. Great reintroduction to Luna. It's a great look at the town and the vitality there. It's actually kind of interesting to dissect the elements that are borrowed from Halloween, even though it's not quite the same as Halloween. There's a different legend behind it. Equestria, as Celestia is my witness, there's no organized religion, so we don't have that bit of influence in their history, but there's still a parallel. And it's just fun to root for a character who's simultaneously in a position of power, yet exceptionally vulnerable. How hard is it to pull off that dynamic? It's very hard usually if it's someone in power, like a high-grade lawyer, they have to challenge the governments, because that's the only way a powerful can punch up, and we can root for them. I'm thinking of Boston Legal right now.
Really?
Yeah, I like Boston Legal. Oh, Nora's not approved. She's more the practice.
Actually, I am more of Law and Order as you.
There we go. Richard Lawyer, experience right. My cousin Vinny.
Cousin Vinny, okay. There's a Cousin Vinny fence. So, okay, well, you see in these pictures, these two youths. There's two youths and the princess. Anyway, and let's see, anything else? Well, funny enough, you can study how not to rule when Luna asserts authority, because you run the risk of losing. You gain fear in the moment, but gain hatred in the long run, and that undermines. There's an interesting dynamic. One that, honestly, I feel like the last decade highlights in many respects. But let's not get too focused on that. We've got about 7 minutes. If you all have questions, observations, thoughts, Maud.
So I remember back in this is some of the earlier the fandom, if you recall, CR used to be a big growing fan base in that got classic, and when he did a review of Luna, and he kind of had a history on why this legend was stuck around, he was running the idea that Celestia thought, well, if I keep the legend of Nightmare Moon alive, people will still go and kind of look into the elements of harmony, and then maybe, the day when she comes, we'll have a bunch of people who know about her and know about her legend, so that there's a higher chance of people, and if the student eyesight fails, there's still a chance that some kids are gonna go and look for the elements and embody them.
Mm-hmm. So it's very possible. Celestia was playing a very long game. So like I say, it's easier sometimes to adopt an idea than fight it, or to redirect the idea towards a purpose. So, China.
Just a thought I had kind of on the rewatch in view of a couple of later episodes. I mean, I liked this episode when it came out, but it also feels like it kind of, like there's a thread through a few episodes between this, the one with Troubleshoes, and Newbie Dash, where it feels like the episode comes across with the message of, if people think of you a certain way, don't fight it, just embrace it, even if you don't like it. And it's not too prevalent here, it's only kind of in hindsight that I even made that connection. But as it goes on, it gets more and more uncomfortable.
So this might be the start of witnessing a weakness in the storytelling over the series, that sometimes fitting into a role, letting the larger culture dictate a role to you. Now, one thing though, Luna is getting engaged, she's having fun with the public. Is it possible to accept a role but also modify it to match, make it your own? In that way you assert you're working with it, because again, hard to fight an idea, but you are not subservient.
Well, that's Wreck-It Ralph, basically.
That's Wreck-It Ralph. Troubleshoes, he could be his own kind of clown. It depends. We never got any follow-up with old Troubleshoes. I'm grateful for Terramar, who didn't have to choose between land and sea. See, I saw some other hands in the back.
One observation that I've observed, not just in this episode, but also in the season 4 premiere, is how Nightmare Night, or even the Summer Sun celebration for that matter, came to be when the battle between Celestia and Nightmare Moon lasted probably less than 5 minutes, and there were no witnesses.
Well, we don't know there were no witnesses. There was a castle. There must be. Well,
There's a castle in the Eclipse that never happened before. People are gonna notice something.
Okay, the eclipse is the thing. The sun's a little behind schedule. Hey, there's a lot of explosions happening at the castle. I don't know how many, if there were. I mean, this is the point where we're constructing headcanon. Logic would say that there were some ponies in the castle seeing to the royal duties, but then again, we also have Twilight living in a castle with no support or attendance.
There seems to be an implication with that Ponyville was populated around that time. Granny Smith is her father is being given this plot of land by Celestia. That Celestia is saying, well, this plot's available, but it seems like it hasn't been populated for a while, so there probably was a town around that area at that time.
So it all hinges on either ponies asked Celestia why this happened, and or they saw some aspect of the battle, and Celestia realized, I can't keep this all under wraps. So it's something to ponder. In some ways, when you try to connect elements, you get you can come up with your own stories and inspirations. And I see a very enthusiastic hand raise. What's up? That's all good. You give me the duck.
I came here late, so my apologies that you already made this point. It's very interesting to see how this is the closest we get to organized religion now. Start treating Nightmare Moon as a radical deity who must be satiated with offerings. Like even the offering of dough, of pastries and cakes, or other things,
Christianity, when they adopted All Saints Day and then All Souls Day, you could offer little prayer cakes to people who were offering. They would take the cake and offer up prayers to a departed one.
Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead.
That's a bunch of Catholics doing that.
There you go.
Well, not just that, but like the concept of a wrathful deity who might bring you misfortune.
I've never been fond of calling the princesses gods because
like.
so, but a wrathful being, a negative force, a danger. Yes, that it is an interesting parallel. You've been patient.
Well, this less a question, more of a comment I was wanting to make on when you were talking about Zakora, how at one time, she was shunned from Ponyville and nobody wanted anything to do with her, and to a certain extent she kind of accepted that and just decided not to have much to do with them either. But now, she's in with the community, she participates, and really, even though she's a foreigner, she seems to know a good deal about pony history and culture.
Well, that's the question with Sakura. Given what we've learned in the season 10 comics, that she was an avid fan of magic, and she kind of idolized. Oh, you okay? Hey, we okay here? Okay. All right. Okay. 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 As long as you're okay. But wow, there's even relieving music as it goes. Where's that coming from? Does my life have a soundtrack?
Yes. They're playing you off.
Oh God, what does it play when I'm in the bathroom? I never. Let's see here. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're just about to wrap up. Any final thoughts as we close things up? Yes.
You go ahead.
Sorry.
My impression of the how the Nightmare Night holiday came to be is that if there probably weren't very many witnesses to the sisters falling out. I got the impression that like Celestia just doesn't talk about it, and so that's how all these misconceptions came to be.
It's very possible, and that's why she has to suddenly run with an idea she might not have endorsed, but now she has to work with it. I can see Celestia being unsure of herself and unsteady in the wake of Luna's banishment.
So if Luna might not have been very well understood by the public to begin with.
Very likely.
Kind of like the company I work for, the management doesn't really communicate with the employees very well. So, rumors run rampant and they don't really do anything to stop it.
A lie spreads faster than the truth. Believe me, I'm right there with you. I know that feeling. I saw one other hand over towards the left here. Final thoughts?
I guess I'll chime in.
Sure.
Going back to the differences between the summer sun celebration and Nightmare Night, over Nightmare Moon, so then how exactly do we get Nightmare Night where everybody is saying, we gotta be afraid of Nightmare Moon?
Well, it's funny, the original holiday that starts with an S, it wasn't held, I don't think it was held on October 31st in the traditional sense. They've actually moved the holiday a few times in our history. But, yeah.
Historic times, kind of, or Samhain was celebrated on the 1st of November. But in the traditional time reckoning, it began with, or what we would call the evening October 31st.
But I think the Catholic Church also mucked with the timing even more until they went back. So it's been, well, as I understand, the original celebration was because the days became shorter, the nights became cooler. It was the advent of autumn and into winter, and also a fear or a feeling that the spirit world had greater contact. Now here you have you have a being that really represents everything that goes bump and scary. So in this way, this may not be the night, but it would have been the night she was most powerful. So maybe that's what they fear, that even in banishment, Nightmare Moon had just one night, where she could really cause trouble. And that's a way to channel fear. The young people who followed his villain monsters out of our own subconscious. So fear of the unknown, of the dying of the light. How fitting for Nightmare Moon all this idea.
Just to close out, if anyone wants to do more research into the history of Halloween, this whole, a supernatural entity takes kids back to see various origins of Halloween and Egyptian stuff and Day of the Dead and Europe. It was also turned into an animated movie.
I remember that.
That's the candy skull. Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, okay. It was a candy skull. I was like, well, great going on. That sounds like a very interesting and fun read. So everyone, thank you for coming to my panel. Thank you about Princess Luna.
You know what I really exactly what was when she found out about this.
What? Trust the.
Psychonauts 2.
I have no.
Deal with archetypes. I was wondering what your take on that plays.
Unfortunately, I can't offer much of a take as I haven't, but I can check it out.
Yeah,
So let me know.
it's actually my discussion with Jones in the comments of one of the let's plays. Reminds me of pieces of seeing the hold up with.
Fraternities.
And
There you go.
so I don't
I'll check it out. Here we go.
First blood suck. Oh, Captain One Up Flourish. Yeah, you got it. Okay. Got the shop. I got all the and horse for you. Yeah, all the blessed spirits. That's a good those. Yeah, we all. You find sales when I shop. So, but like, what? Sword? Yeah. The Buddhist outlaw. One that sacrifices himself. Now, in order to head home to please the evil spirits, to give it. Which it was like they make
Very interesting. Thank you so much.
This is, I'll tell you when I'm break. You said this is Silver Quill and you're watching Time Gal 25?
Time Gal 25.
Yes, the same. And go.
Oh, and you're watching Time Gal 25.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Understandably.
Nearby source of letters.
Nice.
I think that between me and you, I think I should
I've spent no different. I've spent like I've literally since I've been to the convention, I've spent like $500 on movies.
You must feel happy that your next panel is in here, so you don't have to go anywhere.
You know, this is rather convenient. So I wish all the. Can we make it so all the.
Well, this there's always one on the way to the chase thing.
Well, that's my bank too. So.
Yeah, look,
Yeah, 1 minute walk.
Alright, I'm going.
I know that's $30.
Sorry.
I know who you got the scarf from.
This I got it.
It's the same.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
And they're selling them for $30.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Yeah, I managed to fit $500 worth of stuff on Princess Luna into 2 backpacks, and now I am tired of carrying them both.
Yeah, too bad for me. I'm working on a $300 budget.
I really like broke myself. Oh, what?
You guys want
I got
something
the
I want you
game
to
poster sitting right there.
History is a narrative. We
Well,
emphasize
got-
certain aspects.
I gotta shoot them more. I don't have
Always
one.
settled into the alpha story. So what happened? Only overemphasized about
You know when I do
the cute one from.
others
I got
collected bits of information.
And this
And as a result, this thing that is Luna, but not hard to think you're Luna, but not.
I mean, I'm on budget because I'm saving up for MFF. Less for price.
I'm just trying to figure out a place to put this. You know what? You said your next year nails in here in summer. Cool.
Probably around by O'Hare.
Everyone else is
Anthropons on the base, especially in terms of that's great. That means we're running for
If you look up in the sky one night, and all of a sudden there's you never. You start to
Railroad and truck driver.
The man in the moon, I mean, well, we've got the man in the moon, but we've also got the Enderman in the moon, or, oh, what's his name? Slenderman, thank you. We don't like those two. Man is as common in our vernacular as American being. So, well, that would be man.
It's like,
He's always in the room, that's what, but it's space shows, that's why. Really, that one. Remember, it's one thing the show, but it really wasn't Blake and you'll miss it.
Oh,
I'm amazed.
yeah, that was my first film. I was there.
I'm sorry that young man over
Yeah.
Just autograph.
I'll call that later.
Because I know it's Celtic, but if I go through, weird, but it should have kept a limit on the but I've seen Celtic words, they don't pronounce weird like that. And like, have you seen how the CSA for I bring in or bring in 900 some.
I know. But they don't pronounce their M's W. that's in
I have enough trouble with
text. Yeah, so 900.
English has enough trouble with English.
What is
So I find the right pronunciation of niche.
I invite to college.
Niche.
It's
Niche.
50 per
Oh,
hour.
that sounds great.
Yeah, personally, I just prefer niche.
Once I get my full time, which is next
You know, I
year or
actually have
two.
a funny, funny headcanon for
So me, I won't be able to drive until.
Oh, God. You know, honestly, you had to hit the drinks a little hard
Well,
to.
the concept of
After
eventually
finishing
drive
a
is
story that
hard
has
for you.
happened.
That-
So then the Celestial.
Oh yeah, go. I like this because that's a whole lot of part. Yeah, something when you're reading this terms.
Talks about how she
That was on me.
she had actually as if it was
I didn't know seriously. And I got courage to learn more about it. Period of time. It's canon.
How do we know that there was weird spell thing going on? She didn't simply just wake up and come to with Celestia, or that she wasn't seeing things all through Celestia's viewpoint, seeing consciousness over the wire.
It didn't seem like an extended period of time between Celestia getting knocked down.
That's gonna be